Hi guys, welcome back to the channel on a brand new video on Marvel Contest of Champions. This video is all about my hopes for characters that could turn into champions in 2018. Yes, it's similar to my predictions video, but the predictions video ties in with stuff that's happening in the Marvel Contest of Champions universe, previous Kabam publications with the Marvel Contest of Champions comic book, stuff that's going on with the TV series, and general publications of comic books next year. So this is different to it. As well, it highlights the point that a lot of people in the community do want to see the champions that I'm going to talk about. A lot of people would say, yes, okay, that we may get these champions, but there's also a good chance that Kabam will go a little bit left wing and kind of go, yeah, we'll go with that one, or we'll go over that way and grab that one. So that would be really cool to see some diversification with stuff. So let's have a look at champions that all the community really hope to see in the coming year or 2 years. Number 10 is Lockjaw. This is a character that I think a lot of people really want to see. When he was teased, early this year when we had that kind of Inhumans kind of event, it was kind of cool to see him, and obviously we saw something that had been created, a kind of a graphic that had been created for him. So he was kind of like moving around in the kind of way that seemed interactive, to a point where we've seen it before with MODOK. So there's a good chance that we could see this in the game at some point. In particular, images like this taken from the event have been springing up, and it really does kind of put a lot of questions out there. Could he indeed be a playable champion in the future? Lockjaw's speed and strength would make an excellent addition to Marvel Contest of Champions, and also increasing that cosmic line. Having the power of an interdimensional teleportation is going to be difficult to kind of translate to the game. However, if they can do bamfing with regards to the teleportation with Nightcrawler, anything is really possible. But with usage of claws as well as immense strength, you could see stuff with regards to bleed and fury that's going to make this lovable dog so incredible if he was put into the game. Next up is Silver Surfer, a real fan favourite and champion that everybody wants to see come into the game. Cosmic powers are going to make this guy so incredible, coupled with the fact that they could link up something with Galactus and make a really decent story with it. But just having him in would just be so incredible. Kabam really would have a hard job on their hands taking this character to being a champion. They would have to consider a lot of variables, including the fact that this champion would have an absolutely amazing energy absorption to a point where that power that's absorbed can then be transferred back. Yes, we do have it in the game, but to the extent of this particular character emitting back that level of damage would have to be astronomical. And also this would be a character that would have to have full invulnerability. So where we've got a champion like Mephisto that has complete immunity to a lot of kind of negative and debuff effects, this would be the next level shit when it comes to adding this champion into the game. And as this guy was able to break through a lot of strong armor, including that of Thor's, if they added armor break with this champion, it would probably be the best we could ever see in the game. Next up is Professor Xavier. About this time last year, I kind of thought to myself, hey, I'm not going to see this guy added into the game, and it would bum me out because I really wanted to see Professor Xavier in some capacity in the game. So far we haven't seen anything, and that is a bit sad because he's just a quintessential part of the X-Men universe. However, I have been given a bit of a lifeline, a bit of a booster in the fact that we have had MODOK added into the game. As you know, MODOK is a massive head on a hovering wheelchair type thing. Well, it's not a wheelchair, it's a hover chair effectively. But anyway, all that aside, the fact that that's in means that there potentially would be a Professor Xavier in a floating hover chair that could do significant amount of damage. With regards to like the striking side of things, I'm not sure with regards to that, but it could be a case instead of the strikes being physical, could be a mental telekinesis kind of attack with that, if you get my drift. Although Professor Xavier isn't considered to be a powerful mutant, he does have extensive abilities when it comes to so many things like mind control, like creating like psionic shields, right the way through to astral projection. There's so many things and no end to his power, which then could really resonate in the game. It's a kind of a further hope that we could then create a proper Jean Grey. I'm talking a 90s Jean Grey with regards to appearance, and maybe creating a kind of a stronger kind of X-Men event like we did with Terra Genocide, but something a little bit different. So from one powerful mutant to another, Mr. Sinister. This is a champion I think a lot of people would like to see, especially to expand that X-Men mutant kind of franchise, because we do have some in the game, but with regards to kind of structure from them, they're kind of all over the place. Having Xavier School this, having Marvel Now this, and even like 90s that. There's a lot of things going on with regards to it. So creating some kind of like real strong ties and kind of stability would be really great. Mr. Sinister boasts so many abilities that make him incredibly powerful. We're talking about really decent regeneration. We're talking about cellular shape shifting, which, you know, is pretty cool. It's like on that Mystique level kind of stuff. Right the way through to the certain and normal things, which is superhuman speed, durability, stamina, strength, and telepathy. So that's something that makes him incredibly more powerful. We've got telekinesis, we've got teleportation, we've got force fields, and we've got immortality. So there's so many things similar to Silver Surfer. This amazing Omega level mutant just makes him incredible. So this mutant I can really see being a bit of a game changer. A lot of people will argue with regards to it being science, and fair point with that, but I think with regards to consistency, they'll probably make him a mutant. Next up is Ensaboner, or as we'd like to know him as, and a more easier thing to pronounce, is Apocalypse. This is a champion that actually has already been teased by Kabam. In the motion comic for Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 0, you see in the top kind of left hand corner right here, there is a belt, and on that belt is an A, which is similar to the one that is sometimes found on Apocalypse, especially when it comes to the comic books and in recent games, which is similar to the one that you find here with regards to these belts. Apocalypse is one of those characters that is on that next level power grid. He's just insane with regards to it. So again, similar to Silver Surfer, similar to Mr. Sinister, we've got that immortality factor, which is going to make them incredibly powerful. And just like Mr. Sinister, he benefits from a lot of kind of like mental based powers. So we're talking telekinesis and telepathy. Right the way through to, obviously, we've got the kind of dimensional crossing of teleportation and things like that. But let's not get into that. The main thing is obviously that he is a superhuman with superhuman strength, speed and durability, as well as energy manipulation, energy absorption, similar to Captain Marvel, who was able to absorb all that lovely energy and obviously able to dish out so much damage. So this will be a really decent champion to add into the game, and I definitely would have to see myself going for a featured 5-star, or maybe you have to be a featured 6-star at some stage. I know it seems pretty biased with regards to my own wants and desires with regards to mutants, but this is the last time I really feature a mutant to a degree, and that is Mystique. Now, I really do like the idea of Mystique, the idea, like, you know, changing to kind of morph into a different character. To a degree, I would obviously want Morph to be in there, but with regards to kind of clout and the extent of what we know with X-Men, it seems to be Mystique is the more popular with regards to morphing. So she would be a great addition, and the way that they could play that in the game with regards to, does she swap the abilities and take the abilities of that champion she's fighting, would be pretty cool. Like, say she's going to be hit by a bleed character, so then she becomes a bleed dealer. You know, what would be the thing with that? Would she then absorb or kind of morph into somewhat immunities that the champion had? Probably not, but when it comes to, say, replicating attacks, then it probably would be the same thing, that she would be able to do it. Same thing in like games like Pokemon, where you've got the character called Ditto, and just kind of like general kind of swapping with special attacks as well. When it comes to Mystique's abilities and power, there is none really. It's all in the metamorph that it seems to be the most selling point of the champion. Yes, she's got good fighting skills, but I think the relationship being a carbon copy of whatever she's fighting against would probably be the big selling point. Whether or not she stunned the enemy or kind of confused the enemy or caused extensive concussion, that could be the only thing that would be a big selling point for the character. But she wouldn't get all the abilities of the enemy she was fighting against, just replication of things like special attacks and fighting style. Either way, I don't see her being an incredibly popular champion, but for me, I would like to see that interaction with other characters. I lied! Bishop is the final one I'm going to talk about with regards to mutants, but I really wanted this guy from day dot when I started playing the game. Bishop is such a kick-ass character. He's so interesting. He just seems like he reminds you a little bit of Wolverine, because he has this kind of, there's this presence about him that he's just been knocked down. He's angry all the time. He's out for justice and he wants to kind of like do good, but at the same time he's kind of like close to being an anti-hero but a hero at the same time. And he has some amazing partnerships, and the fact that he looks so cool is just the biggest selling point. Oh yeah, and obviously the energy manipulation, his powers, and the use of a kick-ass gun. Yeah, that's something that him and Cable are two characters that I really do like the look of. Lucas Bishop's big selling point is the fact that he does energy absorption, and the way that he can then take in energy and then channel it back out is one cool concept I would really like to see more of in the game. Similar to, say, like Captain Marvel when she absorbs power. It's like saying with even, and I'm sorry to all obviously Marvel fans, but DC with regards to the way that Superman interacts with things with regards to the sun, and how he kind of like draws in all these kind of like natural kind of elements of power and then able to kind of project it out in a very kind of powerful way. He draws all his power from the sun, so it's like the same way that, say, Bishop would absorb power from kind of energy being blasted at him, and that in turn gives him stuff like energy resistance, which is cool because then that can be transferred over to the game quite well. You know, enhanced endurance and accelerated healing, again, stuff that can be transferred into the game. Drawing power from champions that deal shock and being maybe shock immune would be pretty darn cool. And this is the final kick-ass mutant that I want in the game. Next up is Nova. This is a character that I'm starting to do a lot of reading with regards to comic books, and I'm really resonating with this character and would like to see him in Marvel Contest of Champions. There's a lot of kind of like great stuff that he does in the cosmic universe, so obviously more than likely he will be a cosmic unless they decide to make him more of a tech. Gaining access to the Nova Force means that he is going to generate an extreme amount of power whatever he is doing. We're looking at intense strength, speed and durability. So anything really is possible from this man with his powers and his suit. This is another character that can have an intense amount of energy generation, so it's going to mean that there's going to be a lot of kind of like blasts at enemies. We're going to see flight with this character, so it's going to be a really cool concept if they could ever put into the game. I could see some really decent interaction with stuff like Silver Surfer. So yeah, anything is really possible, and I hope they put him in, regardless if he's cosmic or they give him tech. Now this has to happen at some point, guys. A lot of you will be kind of like streaming and going, yes, they need to add this guy in. Doctor Doom. This is a massive fan favorite. It's quite surprising, even this one compared with the next one we're going to talk about. Fan favorites. Doctor Doom, an extensive power source that is undeniably giving him some of the most powerful kind of attacks in the whole MCU, which we've seen in 2 movies. They haven't been good movies, but still they've been movies, as well as the comic books, as well as whatever potentially could come out, whether or not he'll see an appearance in the TV series at a later date. Who knows? That would be quite good, wouldn't it? A Netflix series on the Fantastic Four. Hopefully they could do it a little bit more grittier and better than the films have been. Doctor Doom is pretty much off the scale with regards to the no end of power that he can access, and it would be a very difficult point to argue what he comes down with regards to class and classification in general. Would people say that he would be a mystic based on the magic powers that he has? Would they say he's a cosmic based on his interaction with stuff? Would they even say that he would be a tech? Would they be... It's so difficult to kind of pinpoint this. It would be a case, maybe just for argument's sake, just to go, kabam, just make him a mystic just for hell's sake, and the fact that if we're looking at orientation of where he gets powers, then yes, you could go down the line and being a cosmic. But at the same time, with regards to the type of powers he uses, similar to the argument why Loki isn't a cosmic rather than a mystic, I think it'd just be best to say, look, he's mystic, don't look into it that much. Let's make him a mystic based on the powers that he accesses and uses. And the fact that he can do things like teleporting, he can do mystical force fields, he can do mystical blasts. It's just like, it puts him on that kind of Doctor Strange type vibe with astral like stuff and the whole kind of like powers around the Eye of Akamotto. So yeah, I think that may be the thing with it. As far as immunities go, this guy should be on the same level as Silver Surfer, Apocalypse, and even Mr. Sinister in being that completely immune to stuff, the same way like we talked about with Mephisto. Yeah, this guy could be incredibly powerful if they added him into the game. And as we know, he is a big fan favourite, and it seems fairly pleasing to the community if Kabam were to put him in next year or the year after. And our final one is indeed Quicksilver. A lot of people will probably be screaming going, hey, Doctor Doom should be like the last one. Why is Quicksilver? I think it's based on the fact that over the last 3 years of playing the game, a lot of people have said that they really would want to see this character. They were really, you know, shocked to see that we had Nightcrawler in with regards to like the Bat-Thing ability and how Kabam handled the teleportation stuff. I think the next step and the next evolution is to then add the fact that if this guy moves incredibly fast, how do we do that and benchmark it in the game with regards to speed side of things? because obviously he would work in a similar, not the same, a similar fashion to Nightcrawler with regards to speed, except teleportation is then transferred into being quick speed movement. So instead of you seeing kind of the way the Iceman functions, the way he dashes across the screen quite quickly with regards to sliding on ice, the same concept with regards to quick movement would then be good to replicate when it comes to adding a character like this into the game. Obviously the big selling point for Quicksilver is his speed is just so essential. With regards to the way he functions and the amount of damage he could do, I think again we could use Nightcrawler as a good example. The increased, say, attack and the kind of fury buffs that we see would be a good application to a character like this being put into the game. With speed of the essence, he could then do a great amount of damage. At the same point, evades are going to be incredibly important. So this guy is actually going to have better evades, in my opinion, than a character quite like Nightcrawler and Spider-Man. And obviously the science people among you will know and understand the idea behind superhuman strength in regards to hyper speed. So yeah, I'm not going to explain that. We've seen it in the MCU, so we know with regards to the films, the way that he functions. But the main thing is this guy would be incredibly cool and would be a great addition to the game. The biggest argument would probably be, where does he come down the line with regards to classification? Obviously we've seen that Scarlet Witch, who is his sister, is then a mystic. What would be they therefore applied to Quicksilver? Would he indeed be a mutant? And I know I've said that was the last mutant I would do with Bishop. However, though, when it comes to this one, it's very difficult. In recent comic book history, we've seen that he has actually been kind of labeled as being a science or kind of a manipulation based on science. So that's a cool concept and would be very current with and contemporary with what's going on if they then added him to the game as being a science, and this would be a good justification for that. However, though, I wouldn't care if he was a mutant or a science. It just would be great for the community to have him in the game. So that has been my top 10 champions that I'd really like to see in 2018. It's not my predictions, it's my hopes. I really hope. And as well, it kind of aligns with a lot of the things that the community have said to me in live streams, as well as other kind of communications over the last 3 years. So that would be really cool to see them in. And obviously, fingers crossed for 2018. Thanks very much for watching this video. If you enjoyed the video, hit that like button, subscribe for more Marvel Contest of Champions based content, and let me know in the comments below what characters from the list, as well as characters in general, would you like to see in 2018. Your hopes, please, down below.